If you're trying to learn skills like the handstand, muscle-ups, planches, and you're stuck as tutorials never show you how to actually train them inside your current workout, or you're hitting a massive roadblock as you're trying these skills but it feels it's just not progressing, or there must be a better way to learn it, then this is for you, because I'm going to show you exactly how to train any calisthenics skill and how to fit it in your existing routine without killing your gains or burning out. By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 types of skills you need to understand, how to train each one of them properly, and how to integrate it into your workouts so you're not just stronger, but more skilled, more mobile, and more confident in your movement. I've spent years coaching gymnastics, parkour, and ninja warrior athletes, and across every style of training, I keep seeing the same thing. They either 1. Try the skills randomly in their workouts because they're not too sure when to train it. 2. Work on the full version of the skill and it just feels as if they're just failing constantly and wonder why nothing sticks. Or 3. Work on the skill often but don't see progress since they're working on the wrong thing. Here's why. Not all skills are created equal. Some are about muscle, some are about control, and some are a mix of both. Depending on what type they are, changes the best way to learn them. Every skill in calisthenics falls into one of 3 categories: strength skills, technique skills, or hybrid skills. To know which category they fall into depends on if you work on that skill until you can no longer work on it. What fails first? Strength skills would be skills that your muscles fail first. Think of pull-ups, in which when you have done enough, you could no longer pull yourself. It does not mean there's no technique involved, it just means the muscles are the limiting factor of that skill. Technique skills would be the quality of the skill goes away first, and or you feel sluggish, which tends to be the mind-body connection. Think of handstands or many acrobatic skills. It is similar to doing something with a lot of effort, such as math or problem solving, and your brain feels tired. Hybrid is a mix of both. Think muscle-ups. I'm going to show you exactly how to train each one of them, so let's start with the one that most people still mess up, but most people have a better understanding of, which are strength skills. For strength skills, these are moves that require serious muscle output. Think of planches, front lever, one-arm push-ups, human flag. The mistake most people make is that this should be treated just like any other strength exercise. That means the concepts that you would apply to, let's say, a bench press or a push-up would be the same here. Instead of treating it like a party trick, you should treat them just like lifts. Here's the checklist on how to train strength skills. Number 1, use the hardest progression you can do with perfect form. Number 2, stay in the rep range of 6 to 35 reps or 15 to 30 seconds for static holds. If you could do more, you need a harder progression. Then you're aiming for 3 to 4 sets with a good amount of rest in between, or until you are no longer able to do the skill at good quality, or you can't do it within those ranges. If it is less than 3 sets, then just do a lower progression and keep working on it. You should be exhausted after working on this skill. Then number 4, you can try it again with at least 1 day rest in between. Max output, if you're really trying to get the skill as quickly as possible, can be 2 to 4 times per week, depending on your split and recovery, which we'll break down a little bit more right here. How do we fit this in your workout? First is, you would do the skill with the muscle group you are working on. For example, a one-arm push-up would be with your push, your upper body, or your chest day, depending on your split. For structure, that depends on how fast you want the skill actually. If the skill is not your main goal, just add it into your workout and it'll just get better over time. But if the skill is your main goal, then do it at the beginning of your workout. Then you want to do a lower progression of the skill later, such as ending with it. You just don't want it to be the next exercise you do right after. Then after that, your exercise choices should be of the other muscles that are used but have not been exhausted. Then depending how much time and energy you still have, you can do the other exercises for the other similar movement pattern or muscle group. So let's say you are training planches. That's a push-based strength skill. So it belongs on your push day, your upper body day, or your full body day. Again, depending on how you're splitting your workouts. You'd start with your best progression. In this example, let's say it's planche leans. You would hold it for 20 to 30 seconds for 3 or 4 sets, or until you can't hold it for that 20 seconds. Then at the end of the workout, you do some accessory work. Let's think of pseudo planche push-ups at the end. Then in between, you're finishing with your traditional push movements. That would be push-ups, overhead press, bench press, pike push-ups, however you want to do your workout. But just remember, you want to prioritize based on your goals. Treat the skill just like you would any compound lift. And if you're not too sure what muscle groups those are, or if you want to actually have a list of common progressions that you want for the most popular calisthenics skills and exercises, there's a PDF down in the link below that you can download absolutely free, and that will give you a better idea on which progressions you should actually be doing for the skills that you want. Because the biggest mistake in calisthenics training, in bodyweight skills training, is just not knowing what the progressions are. That's strength skills. Now, how does training for technique skills work? These skills have more to do with control, control, timing, coordination. They have a lot to do with your mind-body connection instead of the muscles themselves. When working on the skill, usually the quality of the skill loses out first instead of the muscles themselves. Think about it as like if you're working all day at work, and then at one point the quality just starts to go away. You're not like physically exhausted, but your mind needs rest. It's similar, but it's more about your nervous system itself than your brain. Think of handstands, flips, cartwheels, many acrobatic skills are like this, swinging skills that you see common. This is where your mind-body connection matters the most. Here's a checklist on how to train technique skills. Number 1 is use the cleanest progression of that skill you can do. Number 2, train as many reps or as holds as you need until the quality starts to dip. And then only after that is when you rest, and then you can repeat it again. Best case scenario, you're training as many sets as possible until you're no longer able to do the good quality. Realistically, to make it easier, you're looking at 3 to 4 sets. Once you start training the skill, you're gonna have a better understanding on what you're able to do, and we're gonna give an advanced tip at the end in order to fix this as well. Number 3, break the skill into small parts and master and work on each. Now, this is actually the hardest part, and we're gonna dive deeper a little bit more. Number 4, focus on consistency, not intensity. This isn't about killing it, it's about clean reps, clean reps, clean reps. So how frequent should you train these skills? Let's go with realistic versus ideal. Ideally, you train the technique as often as possible, even multiple times a day. This is called greasing the groove, or the Russian method. Why would we do this? Because the more often we can do something well, the better we get at it. With strength, we need to wait at least until our muscles are fully recovered to do them well at a good quality. For technique, we need our nervous system to recover and our minds to absorb all the information, which recovers much quicker than muscles. The Russian method has you training for many short bursts of just 2 to maybe 3 minutes almost every hour you're awake. But, let's be realistic. Not everyone can or wants to practice handstands nearly 12 times a day. Going from ideal all the way to realistic, ideally, as often as possible. 12 times a day. Next after that would be training twice every single day, maybe at the beginning of the day and maybe at the end of the day. The most realistic version is to train the technique skill 3 to 5 times a week for maybe 5 to 10 minutes per session, either at the end of your workout or as a separate mini session. When we are working on the skill, what does a technique skill training session actually look like? Well, you would start by working on the highest quality version of the skill you can currently do, stopping as soon as the quality drops. Then you rest as long as you need before repeating. After that, you move into supplementary drills. These are simpler versions of the skill that isolate specific parts like body position, balance, transitions. A good way to figure out what drills you need is to ask, what positions does my body need to hit and what actions need to happen in order for me to do the skill? There's a drill for each of these components. And if you're not sure, that's when having a coach or expert helps. Usually, the more complicated a skill is when it comes to technique, it's usually because the more of these things are involved. So there are more positions and more actions that happen in a shorter amount of time. Think of a backflip of how many things actually need to happen. The jumping up, the spotting, the snap, the body awareness, the spotting the ground, the opening, and the landing. It's many things that happen in a fraction of a second. Now, just focusing on the main progression will still get you results, but these breakdown drills is to accelerate your progress, especially if you're working on it consistently. And here's the key, because frequency beats volume. You'll make more progress doing short, focused sessions like a few times a week than cramming everything to one big session and only doing it once a week. If you only have time for one drill a day, do it. That's still better than doing 15 drills once a week. Now, putting it all together, let's use the classic handstand as an example to see how we would train it. First, we would do an excellent version. Let's just say it is the wall handstand holds. When the quality is done, you're not able to do that anymore, then it would be the supplementary work. We need to balance on our hands, so we would work on crow pose to do more hand balancing. We need to balance our core and our body in order to stay in the handstand, so we would do headstands in our training as well. And with more time, we need to be able to stack our body and open up our shoulders so we can work on pike holds. And we need to have a tight core, so maybe we do some ab rollouts at the same time, not to kill our core, but just in order to activate the core to know how to stay tight in a handstand. You know that advanced trick that I said? This helps with any single skill, but film yourself doing the skill. Then you want to find the best version of that skill and compare the two. Slowly, you'll start to be able to have a visual aid in order to make a small adjustment every single session. You'll see what you are doing and what you're trying to get to, and you'll be able to start spot the difference, and then slowly in your training, you will feel it. That feedback loop will take you further than any tutorial. Now we're missing one more skill. That messy middle, the hybrid skills. Now, these require both. They need strength to complete the move, and they need technique to transition through it. So we think of strength and technique as dials. They're both similar on that scale. The most common one usually comes to mind is the muscle up. Most people are strong enough to do pull-ups and dips, but they still can't connect them. Others don't have a timing issue, they have an explosive power issue. So how do we train hybrid skills? Well, here's the approach to it. Number one, best case scenario is for you to figure out what's holding you back. Is it the strength or is it the technique? Then you would focus all your time on that. The easiest way to figure this out is by doing the technique part just slightly assisted. Not too much or it doesn't work. Can you do the move now or do you need a lot of assistance to succeed it? If you're not too sure or you want to try to get the skill as quickly as possible, well then you're going to have to work on both parts. So for strength, you would focus on the strength component and add it in your workout program, just like we did earlier. For muscle ups, you would need to work on pull-ups, specifically explosive pulls. Then for technique, you would focus on the transition, the timing, the body angle, and practice easy progressions. This would be muscle up negatives or banded muscle ups in this example. The difference is you can work the technique portion at the same time or in the same training as the strength. And if you're absolutely not sure which one you should focus on, or you don't want to spend a huge amount of times on just one skill, by default, just focus on strength. It always pays off, because even if you're doing all the technique drills, if your strength isn't there, the skill just will not work and it will not stick. But if you're extremely strong, explosively strong, learning the technique becomes much faster, especially if you have a strong mind-body connection as you train movement as well. Think of how easy it is for a gymnast or a parkour athlete to transition to any other sport or to learn those skills. That's because they have the strength and the body connection to just apply that to something else. A strong, mobile athlete will always learn faster than a weak athlete, and that's pretty straightforward. If you're not too sure on the best progressions for you right now, don't worry, I've got you covered. Like I said earlier, there's a free PDF guide right down in the link below that breaks down the most popular skills like handstands, muscle ups, one-arm push-ups, and gives you step-by-step progressions for both strength and technique. It's yours, totally free, link in the description. We use this inside our coaching program too, because it works. And if a coaching program interests you, you can book a free coaching call using the link below. We'll talk you through your goals, your current routine, and how to build a system that actually gets you there. So let's recap. If it's a strength skill, train it like a lift. If it's a technique skill, train for clean reps and consistency. If it's both, find your weakness and attack it, or focus on strength and that mind-body connection. Now, go and pick one skill and get to work. Drop in the comments which skill you're working on, and I'll make a deep dive video just for that skill. Stay consistent, stay smart, and always stay awesome.